back with your 3 favorite people. My boy Jesus Peace once again, Ian Taylor, my boy KD Kelvin Dooley, and I'm Jasmine Jeffrey on Skipping Class. We're going to jump right into it with women's basketball. So, both teams, men and women's basketball, played their last game at home against Pitt State on the 27th, which is this Saturday. So what do you guys think about them? What do you think they should do?
Well, the women's team, the men's and women's team just swept Central Missouri for the first time in school history, both men's and women's in the same season. So obviously both teams are playing pretty well right now. Women's basketball specifically, I don't know. It seems like they can't score enough points, in my opinion. You know, they're ranked in the lower half of the MIAA as far as scoring offense goes. They've got Winky, who is, you know, a dominant player in this division, no doubt. But when you look at what they're putting up offensively, they've got 2 players in the top 10 in scoring and then nobody else in the top 50. So I feel like there's just too much of a disconnect there, too much of a drop-off. They're just not putting up enough points. They're not doing it consistently. They play good defense, but when the top team in the league is scoring dang near 85 points a game, you know, and you're looking at 65, I just don't know that they can hang in the tournament. That's not to say that something crazy can't happen, but when I look at it objectively, that's kind of what I see.
Yeah, Kel, you feel the same?
I do. I agree with them. This team, I think they do have some scoring. I think Winky and Deb are a great 1-2. What they like is senior leadership. They like that leadership. They're not cohesive enough as a team. And also, speaking of scoring, when they have that the drop off between Deb and and Sharice, coming off the bench, there's no scorers off the bench. They're surrounded by shooters, which is good for those 2 ladies, and Deb and Sharice, because they can put the ball on the ground and get to the basket. And they also lack a post presence. They don't have that at all. They can't dump it down and run offense through any ladies. They've had that Hubbard's 2 previous seasons with Shantae, Damo. She's had a lady she could throw the ball down to. She doesn't have that. She thought she would probably get that with Bree Shavers, the transfer.
Sure.
But it just hasn't worked out. She doesn't fit inside the scheme that she wants to run personally.
Right.
And again, off the bench, we thought Tammy could be that role player for them. Drew is a solid. She's a really good shooter.
She's a good shooter. Yeah.
Good
She
shooter,
hits threes all day.
She can. I mean, you need great role players like that, guys who can just come off the bench and shoot the ball from the outside. But they just don't have someone they can go to, and that forces Deb and Sharice to play big time minutes, which they're capable of doing. But I don't think they're quite adapt to that role yet, and there's just too much going on. Speaking with a former player, in practice, they're just not getting along too well, and they're not a fine oil machine at this point in the season, which they should be already. Losing to SBU, I think they overlooked that matchup. So not saying that they're one of the top ranked teams in the conference in Missouri Southern, as they've been struggling as of late. But that's the team they're supposed to beat in hopes of getting a nice spot in the conference tournament. So I think they're in trouble, honestly, right now. I think the Missouri Southern women's basketball team is in trouble right now. I think they're looking for answers, and I think it's a little bit too late in the season to be looking for answers.
Yeah.
I think at this time of the season, you're supposed to be having it all wrapped up and firing on all cylinders. They don't have that right now, so they're struggling.
Okay, so give me your concerns about the men's basketball team. Tavon Prince, Charlie Brown, Fido, Taylor Lester, Isaac Kruger, which is the biggest man out there. What do they need to do to win this game on Saturday?
Play Missouri Southern basketball.
Yeah.
It starts with Prince, as always. I think they're much more cohesive than the ladies. They're doing a much better job. They won. Winning hides most of your problems. I think when they win, they're masking most of their problems. They also don't have a post presence, which I would like to see because they have capable guys down there. They have a nice array of guys who come off the bench. Actually, they're not the truest of big men. And in a sense, what I mean is they don't call for the ball. Give me the ball. I'm gonna take this guy to the basket, back to the basket. I'm gonna get us 2 points. They have guys who want to step out on the wing, and shoot threes all day. Kind of today's society of basketball.
Yeah.
So, but they're a good team. They won their 2 games. They're on a 2-game winning streak, and I'm hoping the best for those guys. I have a better shot in the conference tournament, I think, than the women's, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on a couple things that really stick out in my mind. Is that they're winning, okay, and it is masking the large problems that we see and we've talked about a number of times. And 2, that yes, today's style of basketball is fantastic, but when you're not the Golden State Warriors, you can't play like the Golden State Warriors. Okay, so what Boshi needs to do is look at this team for who they are. Okay, you made a great point. Prince is a dominant guy. I mean, he just In this last game, made not enough free throws to set an MIAA record. He's almost in the top 10 in scoring in Southern's history, and he's only been here 2 seasons. He's the all-time 2-season leader for as far as scoring efficiency goes. So, I mean, he's doing all these wonderful things, but at the same time, you can't rely solely on this guy. When I look at this team, I see Charlie Brown as the man that's going to make them either get to the place where they want to be or fall short of it.
Can he get them over that hump?
I think he can, because this guy just plays with that kind of fire that you don't see from the rest of this basketball team. Prince is a great example. He plays hard, both ends of the floor. You look at his rebounding numbers and you see all this, and you can tell that he cares. But when you talk about these big men, these dudes get bodied out of the post over and over and over. They can't offensive rebound. They can't defensive rebound. And you can't win basketball games like that. So when you have a guy playing on the perimeter in Charlie Brown with his kind of talent, get him the ball, because he's the guy that's going to make baskets. Even looking at the roundup of this last game, all you see throughout the entire story is Charlie Brown scored to get the game close again. Charlie Brown did this to get the game close again. It is him. He's the man that needs the ball in his hands. Let him create. Let him dish the ball off. Let him make the moves.
I love Charlie Buckets. I don't think, we spoke to it already. I don't think he's that guy. He's a superstar. He would be that guy for years to come.
So
the next
following is what you're saying.
Following,
Sure.
he would be that guy. Right now, he's not that guy. When you take Prince out the game, Brown he's a healthy 2 option. Love it. That's all he can do. I guess he can get you back in games. Can he go win you the game in the last 3 minutes of a game? I don't know. He hasn't proven that this season.
But would you say that you don't know because he hasn't had a chance to prove that? Because the ball's always in someone else's hands? You know, this guy dominated in high school. He's shown that he's capable. I'm not saying that you give him the ball A1 all the time, but if you can run a play to get him open, to let him shoot, if you get him the ball in transition to let him get those fast break buckets, I mean, he brings so much to the table, and he's an intelligent basketball player. When the ball shouldn't be in his hands, he knows that, and he's going to get it out of his hands. So, I mean, that's what I see.
Which is the crisis amongst having 2 bona fide superstars, as in Prince and Brown. Who do you give the ball to?
True, but we run into this in the NBA, big 3 all the time. So
that's true.
You know,
well, I'm gonna have to cut you off, because you know what?
hot.
I love the
We're
passion,
fired.
but let's talk about softball for a second. Let's talk about softball. So they're on a 2-win streak right now, and they're 7-6 in their overall season.
Sure.
So what do they need to do to really like jumpstart their season and like go further and beyond? What do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously softball's kind of in a transition period. They still have their interim coach. When I look at their roster, I see a lot of seniors in key areas, people that have suffered through just terrible season after terrible season after terrible season. So if nothing else, your heart goes out to these girls, and you just really want to see them succeed. There's some young talent. It looks like they've got kind of the new breed coming in, and that's going to revitalize and rejuvenate a group of people that have been downtrodden and been suffering through so much. So I'm excited in that sense for them. I think, you know, like we talk about with baseball in the same sense, it's just, with this kind of sport, it's too early to tell to a point. But, I mean, it seems like they can score some runs. You know, pitching's a big deal in softball. If you can be dominant in that area, you can really control your own destiny. And I don't know necessarily that they're those girls, but I would say that they're moving in the right direction, you know. And you have Elena Hester, a good senior leader, breaking records herself. You know, it seems like throughout Missouri Southern sports, we just continue to see these people breaking records, setting new example, you know. So, I mean, it's exciting in that way. So I'm just hopeful at this point. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and I'm happy for those ladies. I covered those ladies last year. What a horrible season. Only 15 wins. This year they've already hit half of it. Half of those wins. They have 7 wins already. So that's exciting. Just as a fan of softball, as a fan of Missouri Southern sports.
I mean, I can see you got your gear on. Everything.
Always represent. Always. So it's good to see that from that aspect. I talked to some of those ladies. This is a very young team. It's a very, very young team, like the interim coach. But they want to play for this coach. Not to say they didn't want to play for former head coach Bill Gray, but they want to play for Coach Shim, interim coach. They love her. They say that she's fiery. She gets them up, ready to play. They're motivated. They just want to come out here and play softball. That's what they love to do. They want to win a lot of these games for the seniors. Like you said, they've been through some horrible seasons the past 3 years. The years I've been here, really bad seasons. And you know, they've already won 7 games this year. They look good. It look like they're out there. They want to play baseball. They have something to play for. So just speaking to them, they're excited. They made their home debut just on Saturday. They won that doubleheader, which is great to see. We haven't seen just this well, at least I haven't seen this vibe surround
Right.
that team.
Sure. Success. And
Success.
Success here.
They've grown accustomed to losing. That's
Mhm.
just and that's not a good thing. Then they go for any sporting team, organization, franchise, program. They've just grown accustomed to losing. So now with Coach Shim in, who she's been a part of that losing program already also. Now she gets to do things her way,
Right.
implement her system and her ways of teaching of softball, and they're loving it. They're eating it up. 7-6 start, and I wish them the best. I'll be covering those ladies throughout the season, talking to them more, and we should expect big things.
Absolutely.
Not big things, but better.
Improvement.
Better than what we've been seeing the last 3 years.
Yeah. Well, good luck to the Lady Lions softball
Sure,
team.
for sure.
Let's go over to baseball. They haven't lost a game yet. So is this luck, or are they really just tearing it up on the field? Because I'm not sure what it is. I think it's me because I'm at every game.
Right. It's not luck.
It's not luck.
These
So
guys
it's
really
not me?
good. No, it's not you. These guys are really good. Probably the best program we have right now. Probably the most consistent program we have right now. These guys are really good. They're turning it up right now. This is the hot start we've expected. I expect those guys to come out here and win ball games. They're lighting it up at the plate. They're getting good pitching.
Right.
Even when they haven't had great starting pitching. Just this last game, a guy came in and pitched 6 relief innings. So right now they're firing all cylinders. It's early in the season. Ranked 15th. They're still expected to do big things. This is their expectation. Come out here and clown these guys, and that's what they're doing. They're living up to it right now.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, once again, early on. So it's tough to tell, but when I look at this, pre-MIAA, which is going to be the big test, these are the guys that you want to play against, you want to beat. But yeah, I mean, they're just playing some great baseball right now. You got to fight through adversity. You have to dominate early in a baseball game and set the tone. If you look at their statistics, they've just been killing the first 4 innings of baseball, just absolutely murdering everything. You've got Jesse Raw, who just hit for the cycle the other day. Had 2 triples, not 1 triple in his cycle. Driving in runs like crazy. You've got Chris Hoffman, who's actually hitting pretty well right now, but really not driving in a ton of runs, not playing at his pinnacle.
Right.
So I think you see improvement from him.
And excuse me, I think that speaks to the team and how good they are. Since he's not on, everybody else is on.
Picking
1
him
through 9, they're picking him up, and they're averaging almost 12, 13 runs a game. So even when the senior is not on, you see what kind of damage the rest of the lineup is doing.
Sure.
All right, but we have to move on. I would love
okay.
to keep going, but we have to move on. Let's go into the city that bleeds red, which is the Cardinals. We're all Royals fans, but let's talk to the people that love the Cardinals. What do you think?
They're out there. I know there's a lot of them,
Yeah, there's
especially in this area.
there's plenty, and it feels good to rub the World Series title in their faces.
Yeah.
It's funny. A lot of St. Louis Cardinals fans hate the Royals for some reason. Just being in the Show Me State, I enjoy the Cardinals. They're a model franchise.
Sure,
Great
sure.
baseball.
Call us the little brother.
Yeah, that's fine. Look, finally the little brother beat up the big brother. We
Didn't even have to.
we didn't really
Did they
beat
make
him
it?
up,
Oh,
but
I
we won the
forgot.
title. So it feels good to say that. But the Cardinals, it's the Cardinals. They're going to be there, and that's what they do. They win big games. Excuse me. They win games. They lost Hayward. They lost John Lackey, veteran pitcher. But it's the Cardinals. They get back veterans. My biggest fear with the Cardinals is injuries. And Yadier Molina, big time catcher, arguably when healthy, the best catcher in baseball.
Sure.
He has to get back healthy. And when they're healthy, they're a pain. It's the Cardinals. The division got tougher. NL Central has got tougher. The Cubs, Pirates will be there to compete, and they're looking for their 4th straight division title. So they'll be there. I think everything is set. Get healthy, priority number 1, and they can, and they'll be there. They'll be in the postseason again, I assume.
Yeah, I don't know. You touched on a key point. Health is going to be a big deal with any organization, any sport, anything that you want to talk about. Health is always such a big deal. But with them specifically, you look at one position, and it's Yadier Molina. This guy is capable of so much, but now, having lost their predominant backup, they're looking for that secondary option, and now who do they have in place? Brian Pena, former Royal, who could be arguably one of the worst players in Major League Baseball, if we're honest. So I don't necessarily know that you have that backup plan to really hold down that catcher position, which for them, especially being in the National League, is such a big deal. But as far as the Cardinals go as a whole, they're a great team. As much as we like to joke about them because we're Royals fans, you have to give these guys the utmost respect. not only as the team that's fielded and put, in Busch Stadium every single day, but for the organization. They do such a fantastic job of bringing guys up from their own program. That's why they don't see these guys going out and making these big splash signings. And when they lose a few guys, it's not really a big deal because they have Gritchick, they have Piscotti, they have all these dudes to back them up.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Peak is really good.
Yeah.
And they still have Adam
Leak.
Wayne. Leak. They signed Leak.
Yeah, he's going to be a big deal this year.
They still have Adam Wainwright, who I assume will be opening day starter. Carlos Martinez,
Sure.
big time.
Jaime Garcia.
So they will be there. They'll be there. It's the
Yeah.
Cardinals. They're equivalent to the Spurs of baseball. So of the NBA. So they'll be there. It's the Cardinals.
Well, you guys, that's all the time that we have, but I do have one final question for you. So you have to decide this week what you are going to skip class for. Are you going to skip class for basketball, our basketball players? Are you going to skip class for our softball players and watch them play? Or are you going to skip class for our baseball players? But today we do have a special guest in the house. We have our dog. His name is Rush.
Hey,
so
Rush.
everybody say hi, Rush. But my name is
He's hiding out
Jasmine.
back here.
My name is Jasmine. This is Kevin Dooley and my boy Ian Taylor. Have a good week.
Basketball. Skip for basketball. Charlie Brown.